All right, writers, how's it going? Today was an okay day. Got my word count done. Got 543 words down in the steampunk series. And today's topic of mind ramblings is just going to be me encouraging you to stick with it. Encouraging you to stick with the writing that you've started and try to keep the end in mind. I have a goal of having multiple series. I think it's 21 books total that I want to have out, where I've got something kind of going on with each of them, that kind of stuff, and that I'm able to use as products to market because I want to be a full-time author. That's my goal, and I have that goal in mind. And I have the smaller goals that make up that goal in mind as well. I have, an end of the next book in this steampunk series that I'm working on. That's the current goal for me, because that means that I have a series of books in draft that I can start polishing and being able to kind of put out, that kind of stuff. And you're always going to hit a midpoint with those goals. And that's what today's episode is about, because today's episode is episode 11 of Get Them Words In, and statistically, no one makes it to 21. So we are officially at the halfway point. I can't remember where I heard it. It was on a podcast somewhere about podcasts, that, to get into the 1% of like podcasts out there, one of the easiest things you can do is not quit before 21 episodes, because most podcasts stop before 21 episodes. They stop before they get any kind of momentum, any kind of body behind them, any kind of, that kind of stuff. And you can see this in reverse, because there's like long-standing series out there that everyone kind of knows about. Okay, it's not that like the Hardy Boys wrote one book. Okay, the Hardy Boys and the authors that all worked collaboratively on the Hardy Boys, they didn't just write one book. They wrote, like, I think it's something like 60 or 70, and then if you count like the Nancy Drew ones in with that, like different versions and all that kind of stuff, like they've gone to town on that. And that's because they had a goal in mind. They wanted books for boys and adventurous girls, if you want to throw Nancy Drew in there. They had a goal in mind, and they didn't quit. They just kept on progressing towards that goal of having it. There's a bunch of books on this kind of stuff. Simon Sinek talks about it, on having like I think it's like game theory or something like that, where having an infinite goal, where it's not enough to like to have a goal that you can accomplish. You want a goal that you can't accomplish, that you have to embody. That you wanted. The example he uses, I think, is the the war in Afghanistan, the first war in Afghanistan, like when we were, I think it was helping the Taliban get control of, because they were like rebels and stuff like that, and people couldn't beat these Taliban fighters because they were fighting for their country. They were fighting they were fighting for an Afghanistan that they controlled. And as opposed to just fighting battles, they had a bigger picture, a longer reach, that kind of stuff. And the same thing goes for writers. Like, if you want to be a writer, then your goal shouldn't just be the next series, though it's important because that's one step along the journey. Your goal should be at the end of your life being able to turn around and say, yeah, all 60 of those books, I wrote those. And there's authors who get to do that, who get there, put their feet up on a stack of books that could, hold them up if they needed to, build an entire bed out of the books that they've written. Guys like Stephen King and Brandon Sanderson's going to have a gazillion by the time he finally retires, if he ever retires, that kind of stuff. But you have to know that you have those goals when you reach that middle point. When you reach episode 11 and you're like, this has been a bunch of time, and I don't see the outcome of it. Well, when episode 11 becomes 111, it's something different. That's the difference between, and I've got it up on my screen right now. Right now, this series is only getting about 10 to 12 views per episode, that kind of stuff. Not big numbers. I get it. I'm a small YouTuber. This is my first time. But even if you took those 10 episodes and you multiplied them by 10, that's 100 more people who have seen my stuff. That's something. That's not nothing. Exposure as an artist and as a writer is a big thing, and it compounds, because eventually someone finally meets another person who's heard about this crazy writer named Mike Van Gogh, who's in a writing cave and says, get them words in, even though it's grammatically incorrect. That kind of stuff. It compounds, and you can see in the midpoint that it seems kind of hopeless, and it seems like you're just grinding for no reason, because there's no immediate reward. You're not making widgets. You're making stories, and stories are the opposite of a widget that you can just kind of make and then sell right away. Stories are something that you have to craft, that you have to, put your heart and soul into, and that can be a process, and it can be daunting, especially when you're on episode 11, especially when you're on chapter 3 of like 60 that you have to write to get that book to the size you want so that you can market it the way you want to. It's tough. It's definitely not something that everyone will want to do, and that's why you have to stick with it. You have to stick with it until you get to that mythical point of return, where you get to the top of the hill and you're starting to come back down off momentum, and that only happens by climbing the hill until there's no hill left to climb. So that's my encouragement for you guys as we enter the weekend. I'm going to try and get 2 quick episodes. We'll probably just do shorts or something like that over the weekend here for you, but who knows, maybe we'll do full ones. I'll see if I can sneak away and find some time, but I'm going to leave you guys with that. We'll get them words in and have a good one.